Hello everyone, it's Mark Clifford again from One Disease World Voice, and this is One DWV Today. And we started a little early, I think, but the thing said I was down to, the counter said I was down to 0, so that's why we kind of came in. I'm trying to figure out what everything is here. I had a little problem setting up, but we are looking okay now. It's amazing. I had some good reports yesterday as far as the quality of the software that we're using, and I'd appreciate anyone else that's kind of watching the show on and off if you'd let us know if the audio and the video is of good quality on your computers. I know Tom said it looked really good. My son-in-law said it looked really good. Not the broadcaster here or the announcer, but the overall quality of the video and the audio. And we also want to know how you like the show. You know, like I said, I'd like comments, suggestions, anything you think we should be doing, anything you think we should do differently. It's new, and we want to make it engaging and exciting. We want to make it that it's really your show. You kind of help dictate where we're going with everything. And I went ahead and went for 11 o'clock today. I don't know if that's going to work for everyone. I think we'll try a later time tomorrow just to see. Maybe we'll shoot at 1 tomorrow Pacific time. And then maybe another day we'll go at 2. And we'll play back and forth on that. It's tough trying to please everybody from different coasts. And I guess what I have to do is look at where the followers come in live. And then we can go to the recorded event and you can watch it then, and I can kind of get a feel for, you know, if everyone's getting it, which is kind of the way we did it with Diabetoville Radio on Blog Talk Radio. Was we kept playing around with times, and we tried to make it easy for everyone to watch, and it just never worked. By the way, it's my Boston Red Sox shirt, in case anyone wants to know when I sit back. But what happens is that, you know, you just can't please and meet all the demands of the coast and East Coast and Midwest and everything else. So, needless to say, we'll stick to, once we get a good time where we're getting some interaction, and I know it's a good time for people out here, and we can get people online and back east, and people are starting to interact, and then we'll stick to that time permanently. And the only time that'll change is probably on a weekend, because we really need to see and feel that out. I watch a show on Sundays at 3 o'clock on Ustream, Kevin Pollak, and I find it interesting. He gets, you know, plus he's an actor, so he gets a lot of followers on that show, and that's great. And it's encouraging to see what happens on a Sunday afternoon. Not saying that we'll get the same response, since I'm not an actor, but it's something to consider is going on that time. Sorry, the phone's ringing, and as usual, and I can't answer it right now, so we'll take care of that later. So anyways, yesterday we did an introduction. We tested this out. We wanted to, you know, kind of give everyone a heads up of what we're going to be doing, and hope everyone got a good idea. And kind of spent the night, like I said, I had pulled some stories that we haven't written about yet, and I pulled one that kind of really was interesting. I talked about soy germ, and it basically states, the title is Soy Germ Enriched Pasta Improves Cardiovascular Markers in Diabetics, and it's by Dr. Will Boggs. And they researchers came out with a report on July 25th in Diabetes Care, and it said that soy germ enriched pasta improves endothelial function, blood pressure, and markers of oxidative stress in patients with type 2 diabetes. And it basically went on to talk about treatment of type 2 diabetes, dietary modifications, potentially represent a more attractive and cost-effective approach than drugs. And this is from Dr. Setchell from University of Cincinnati, sorry about that, College of Medicine. Presently, this pasta is available in Italy, and mainly in the Umbria region where it is produced. It is not yet available in the U.S. Of course, why not? Why would we get it? Dr. Stecco and his colleagues from Italy compared the effects of the soy germ-enriched pasta containing isoflavone. I am no good with these aglycons with conventional pasta, and basically in a 20-week crossover study of 26 adults with type 2 diabetes. After withdrawals, 20 patients remained for analysis. Anyways, what happened is brachial artery flow mediated vasodilation increased by about 5%. This stuff is crazy. Look, compared with conventional pasta, soy germ-enriched pasta was associated with significant improvements in several markers of oxidative stress, including total antioxidant capacity. The thing that was interesting is neither pasta brought significant changes in plasma insulin, glucose, or HbA1c levels, which, it's just the way it is. At the end of the day, pasta is very healthy food, a good carbohydrate. Unfortunately, it's not always viewed that way because it is clumped together with carbohydrates in general. What was interesting is I remember Dr. Ricordi. He was on our show about, November of 2008, we did the World Diabetic, 9. We did 2009, we did World Diabetic Kids Weekend. Dr. Ricordi was on. And one of the things Dr. Ricordi and I had talked about was pasta, since he is Italian and I'm Sicilian. And he was explaining about a very good way to do pasta is you cook your pasta and you put your olive oil on raw. In other words, don't fry it, don't do nothing, just pour it on afterwards. And you simmer your garlic and a little bit of olive oil just to get the flavor. You put that, and then you put more olive oil on. And I asked him about the pasta, and he said it was much better than rice. It was better than a potato. So it's something that, everyone should kind of keep in mind. So, it's just something. I saw that article about soy germ, and I'm thinking, I have a doctor who recommends wheat pasta, and I've tried eating wheat pasta, and it just, being Sicilian, it's just not that good. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Hope you're enjoying coffee. And, it's something that we should, look at and stuff like that. And I'm going to ask, I don't know if Tom will hear me, so I'll type it. Tom, did you set up the hashtag? Hashtag 1DWV Today. Sorry, folks. Just do a little bit of administration stuff while we're doing the show. Anyways, you can't change my accent. It's from back east, in case anyone wants to know, even though I live in California now, and that's only been about 5 years, so there's no change in the accent, so you're stuck with this. Unless we get Dr. Calderon, who has a Texas and Oregon accent, because he lives in Oregon now, but pretty much is from Texas, and he has that. And we get a few others on here who have different accents. But you'll get to see the hang of it as we go. Time frame of the shows, I'm going to kind of play with it. If we get people that start getting involved and start engaging us, we'll go longer. If it stays that I'm doing all the talking, then the show is definitely going to be a lot shorter, because that's kind of a waste. The idea is to get you information, okay? We want to get some stuff out to you. We want to get some stories out to you. Kind of want to talk about different things that haven't been covered. I posted an article or a story today from one of our local news channels, and it talked about TV and watching TV and how bad it is for your health and how it basically shortens your life. And it was interesting. They said after the age of 25, 1 hour of TV equals up to 22 minutes of less life expectancy. So think about that. So every hour you watch TV after the age of 25, you live 22 minutes less. So start adding that up, on a weekly basis. See how much TV you watch. My TV viewing is usually at night when we're going to bed. We put it on, and I never get to finish watching what I started. Most of my day is spent at the computer, which I guess could be considered watching TV in a way. One thing I found, I was watching a gentleman the other day. It's called Dane TV, DANE.TV. And he's a kind of a life coach and health coach. Really interesting gentleman out of Palm Springs, California. And he had this theory about working, and actually it makes total sense. It's not a theory. But basically it was about standing up and breaking your day up where you're not sitting down all the time, and adjusting your computer where you could have a computer up higher or on a table that goes up and down, or you move it around if you got a laptop. And the idea was that standing for an hour and a half, then sitting, then standing, helps you health-wise. It helps you feel better. It gets you more alert. It extends your life. And if you want to know more about it, just go to Dane.tv. He has a whole thing on it. And he has some interesting topics on there that I found excellent. And I started following him and actually sent him an email about maybe hooking up on a few projects to talk. Because like I said, it was really interesting to find out this stuff. And I enjoy finding people that are into health and wanting to offer it out to people. And I think people should take advantage of this kind of thing. Join these sites and learn more, because some of these guys that are out there or women that are out there have some really interesting feedback and insight into making your life extend your life. And I think it's important. I wanted to talk, this other article came in about women smokers have a higher risk of heart disease than men. And I think we all know that, maybe not. There's always been this issue about women and heart disease that really doesn't get covered a lot of. And this one was a large meta-analysis suggests that the harmful effects of tobacco smoking affect men and women differently. In a study of more than 2 million people, researchers showed that the pool adjusted female to male relative risk of coronary artery disease in smokers versus non-smokers is 25% higher in women. And they used a lot of people, and it said it's an unusually large study, and it was done by University of Minnesota, Minneapolis. Dr. Rachel Huxley told HeatWire, in the main analysis, there are about 2.4 million people with data on 44,000 coronary artery disease events. And what was very nice about the study is that the results were very consistent across all the studies. There was no heterogeneity between them, adding to the robustness of the findings. I kind of find, the words they use are kind of funny, Basically, in the analysis, the researchers performed a systematic review and meta-analysis of prospective cohorts, studies published between 1966 and 2010, 75 cohorts, which included 2.4 million participants. The relative risk ratio by 2% for every additional year of study follow-up, a finding that suggests the longer a woman smokes, the greater her risk of developing coronary artery disease, compared with a man who has smoked the same length of time. And if you want to read this, it's from medscape.com. If you'd like a copy of it, write us and I'll get you a copy of the article. Any of these articles that I'm talking to you about, I'll be happy to send you copies if you send me your email address, and send it to info@onediseaseworldvoice.org. You can follow us on the site. If you go to the site, you can sign up for Google Reader, and every day you'll get a kind of a blast of what we're pushing that day, so you can see it. Yesterday I talked about healthcare. Lori Wiley, one of our writers, was talking about starting to cover Obamacare, which could take years to cover, except it may not be in office that long. But, there's so much involved in that and what we need to cover. And it's a really big learning experience and a learning curve. But I know that a lot of people are concerned, including many retired people. And I also know that a lot of diabetics are concerned of how this is going to affect us on coverages and all this. And I think it's time to tear apart what is being proposed and what's being done for everyone. And I'd really like to see us work on this and report it to you the best we can. If there's anyone out there that has a lot of experience on Obamacare and has some inside information, or not inside information, but a better handle on it, if you let us know, and we'll be glad to set up a time to talk. Maybe you can help us and guide us into some stories so that we can really get the nuts and bolts of Obamacare. I think it's going to, in the next year, it's going to really affect all of us, whether you have diabetes or not. So I would expect everyone to be concerned about this and want to know more. So if you have the energy and the time and you want to help us out, we're open. You know, you can always use, like I said, the main address info at the number 1, diseaseworldvoice.org. Just send it there, and we'll be, happy to, follow up on whatever you send us. Other than that, the next story is about, we talked about this again yesterday too, but we didn't get into it. Processed red meat intake linked to type 2 diabetes risk. And one thing I want to talk about, it seems that I don't want this to become I don't want you to think this is only a type 2 show. Isn't that amazing? We don't really label anyone by types here, except for type D, as you well know, if you followed us at all. And if you follow us on Facebook or you read our post, we believe in type D, which is type diabetic or type diabetes, however you want to consider yourself. And we do that because of the labeling. There's always this argument that's going on for a long time about type 1 and type 2, and a lot of people have written about it, and we're pretty much fed up with all the arguing, and there doesn't need to be all this fighting internally as much as we need to stick together. And yesterday I made a comment about grassroots, and a friend of ours, Liz Marie, wrote back, grassroots is the win. And it is. We need to go back to that. We need to go back to the original grassroots way of thinking and activism and working together, not apart, not in separation, not in groups of, well, we're type 1, so we're going to work for our cure, and type 2s, well, you can just change your lifestyle and cure yourself, which isn't true anymore. So, and even if it was, let's take this to another effect. Let's say type 2s, every type 2 could change themselves by lifestyle, and type 1s have to fight for a cure. When you look at the sheer numbers of type 2, think about that. 90% of the diabetics are type 2. And that balance, that last 10% of type 1s, who's going to listen in government to people? Are they going to listen to, if you took 100,000 people and 90,000 speak up versus 10,000, who are they going to listen to? Whether that 10,000 has a need or not, they go with the number of people, the majority. I mean, we all know this. We don't want to admit it, but we know this inside, that they're going to listen to the numbers, the masses. So why wouldn't we as type 1s want the type 2s behind us, so that instead of 10,000 of us fighting for a cure, we have 100,000? And that's why we keep professing the type D attitude, is that we want everyone to look at, we're here to fight together. And that's the grassroots attitude. That's the activist attitude. And that's what we need to do. So if I ramble on about type 2 stuff on here today, I'm sorry, but some of the articles are really tied to that. But in some cases, but the smoking thing is not, for heart disease. And heart disease leads to, or diabetes, vice versa. We also know that cancer and diabetes are linked. We know that Alzheimer's and diabetes are linked. We know that stroke and diabetes are linked. It's an amazing thing. I mean, diabetes is the center of everyone's world right now, and it doesn't get enough recognition. And when you think about it, cancer gets recognized, and this one gets recognized. The UN is having a summit in September, I understand. Hopefully a lot will come out of that, like it did with AIDS. But still, they're covering not just diabetes, they're covering all non-communicable diseases. So where does diabetes fit on that list is what we need to be concerned about, because heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, I mean, where is diabetes going to fall in that pack of non-communicable diseases? And that's why sticking together as one is so important instead of separation. Okay, processed red meat. Processed red meat intake is linked to risk for type 2 diabetes according to the results of an updated meta-analysis of 3 large U.S. cohorts reported online August 10th in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Anyways, they had 37,000 male participants in the health professionals follow-up study from 1986 to 2006. 79,000 roughly female participants in the nurses' health study. and 87,500 female participants in Nurses' Health Study Part 2, and validated food frequency questionnaires were used to measure dietary intake, and data were updated every 4 years. So anyways, there were 13,759 incident cases of type 2 diabetes documented during 4 million person years of follow-up in each of the 3 cohorts. Unprocessed as well as processed red meat intakes were positively associated with type 2 diabetes risk. Okay, most of this stuff is known. I'm not going to go over it and over it. You want the article, I'll get it to you. But we all know that eating too much meat is no good for us, whether it's for diabetes, whether it's for your heart, whether it's for anything, especially processed red meat. And lately, processed red meat isn't doing that well in the field because they're having a lot of recalls on E. coli. So, you know, folks, I am not a vegetarian, and I don't claim to be, and I don't want to be. But, you know, we try to cut back on meat here. As much as we like steak and hamburger and everything else, we've been trying to eat more chicken and eat more seafood, and try to bring in more vegetables into the meal. And it's something that everyone needs to try to do. If you're really concerned about diabetes, if you're concerned about your heart, if you're concerned about cancer, and if you're concerned about your health in general, that's what I would do. All right. This one is the one I touched on yesterday, and I have to tell you that the doctor who was involved in this and who gets quoted most of the time is pretty hilarious with some of his comments. But I wanted to talk about it because it fits a lot of people. It's not just obese men with diabetes. And basically the title of the article is Weight Loss Improves Erections in Obese Men with Diabetes. And it's from August 5th, 2011, written by Brenda Goodman. And it's from Medscape again and WebMD. The thing is that, they're picking on diabetics on this one, but I could see that if you have a heart disease, if you have a stroke, if you have cancer, I could see where obese men have problems no matter what, because it's the flow of blood. So it shouldn't just be obese men with diabetes, but that's what the study was. So it really came down to a little bit of weight loss may revive the sex lives and improve the urinary health of men who are obese and have diabetes. Everything that makes your blood vessels bad is also bad for erectile function. The small arteries around the penis go down the drain first, which I thought was kind of comical. And that was from Ronald Tamler, MD, from the Mount Sinai School of Medicine. Previous studies have shown that dropping a large amount of weight, about 30% of total body weight, a feat typically achieved through weight loss surgery, can improve many of these problems, which include keeping an erection, low libido, infertility, and problems with urination, including the need for frequent sleep-stealing trips to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I take a water pill, which keeps waking me up in the middle of the night if I take it late. So that's one issue. But the new study is one of the first to show that smaller losses, 5 to 10% of total body weight, or about 11 to 22 pounds for a 220-pound, 6-foot man, may bring about the same degree of improvement. And I found this interesting because of the famous 4-letter word diet that everyone hates hearing. This gives you a little advantage here, saying, okay, if you are having symptoms, if you're having any of the problems that I listed, low libido, infertility, urination, erection, just losing 5 to 10% of your body weight will help. And it's not that hard to lose 5%. I'm on a kind of a, I don't know what you want to call it, self-imposed diet, so to speak. I've put myself back into a Mediterranean lifestyle, which I haven't fully adopted yet, but we are planning on it. But we're taking it in stages because change is a very emotional thing. And we're doing it here and there and eating more salads, more veggies, and, really paying attention, eating nuts and fruits. And the thing is, I grew up on that kind of a diet, living in Italy. So what we're doing is we're taking that and we're kind of piecing it together. And in the last, 2 or 3 months, I've dropped like 12 pounds, which, to some people say, well, that's not really a lot, blah, blah, blah. And it's not a major, and it might have even been longer than 3 months. But the thing is, it's just gradual weight loss. And what's nice is when you have a gradual weight loss, it's less likely that you put the weight back on because you're doing it very slowly, and that's what you want. But people are looking for that instant gratification of losing 20 or 30 pounds because it's so much fun and you feel great and everything. But what it comes down to is losing just 5%. You know, if you weigh 200 pounds and you lose 5%, 10 pounds, it's going to help, folks. And, you know, it's not that hard. And you just change a little bit here and there. Eat a little less. Push your plate away. Eat a little more salad to fill in for the meat or the starch. You know, cut out some carbs. You know, don't eat as much bread with every meal. You know, little things like that change the course of everything. And it's not that hard to do. And I found changes change. You know, it's hard to make changes in your life. It's hard to make changes in your system. So how do you go about it without really having an emotional issue? And you do it little by little. And it's working. To some people, they say, well, 12 pounds, that's a waste. You know, you're not. But I'm losing gradually and I'm losing consistently. And that's what's nice. And I haven't put it back on, which is even better. And I'm limiting my food slowly. Instead of just stopping tomorrow and saying, okay, I'm only going to eat 4 ounces of this, I'm slowly breaking it down so that I'm taking my time. And I'm not in a hurry. I'm not out there to lose weight overnight because I've done this before. I've been through the diets and do this, do that, you know, lose 20 pounds in a month, you know, and you only gain it back. I finally said, I'm just going to go back to the way I know how to do this. And logically, and without the change affecting me emotionally and you know, physically and psychologically, it's a really nice change. And you know, going to the doctor and all of a sudden he says, wow, you lost 12 pounds. And he goes, how are you doing this? And I told him, I said, we're taking it very slow and we're changing a lot of our lifestyle and we're changing a lot of our courses of our meals, drinking more water. And he really liked listening to what I had to say. And the doctors, you know, my numbers may not be the best, but they're getting better because of these changes. So it's something I recommend. You know, if you want to learn more about it, contact us. Dr. Calder and I are going to be doing a project together starting probably September on weight loss. And what we're going to be doing is he and I are both going on a Mediterranean diet. I think his wife is also, and Patty's going to do it, and our whole family is, or Andrew, our son. And we're going to basically follow a Mediterranean diet that we each come up with our own based on guidelines. And we're going to also include exercise. And we're going to be tracking our blood glucose numbers for you. We're going to be tracking our blood pressure, our triglycerides, cholesterol, all the numbers that are important. And getting feedback from the doc, the doc himself as we're doing it, because he's involved in it also. And if you don't know anything about Dr. Calder, jump on our website, onediseaseworldvoice.org, and check it out and read some of his comments and his blogs, and you'll see what he's all about. And he and I decided to do this, and we're basically, it's open to anyone. We're not going to come out there and invite you in and say, hey, come on and join us. It's up to you. You want to join us, you're welcome. If you don't and you want to just follow us, that's cool. We're not going to force anyone into this because that's not the way to do things. But if you want to get involved, let us know. Okay, we're coming up on a half hour. I don't see anyone asking questions. I know Tom is still here, and we've lost a couple of people. We only got like 2 viewers now, and we are getting to the witching hour. But anyways, I just want to kind of finish up with this, with this weight loss. Basically, one of the things, within a very short space of time, with a very modest amount of weight loss, there was quite a marked improvement in erectile function, says study researcher Gary A. Wittert, MD, a professor who is also head of the Department of Medicine at the University of Adelaide in Australia. Some of the men who were quite significantly impaired improved quite markedly and continued to do so up to a year later. Experts said although the study was small with just 31 participants, it was noteworthy because it followed the men for a long time and carefully measured changes in symptoms and biomarkers like hormones. The average age of the men in the study was 60. Study participants had an average BMI of 35, and the average length of time they had been diagnosed with diabetes was 4 to 5 years. So that gives you a really good idea of how they came up with all these facts and figures. More than half of the men in the study reported having symptoms of severe erectile dysfunction, and about 1 in 3 said they had at least moderately severe lower urinary tract symptoms, including problems with frequency, urgency, weak stream, and incontinence. In the meal replacement plan, men got about 900 calories a day. But basically what they came down to was they found out that even by lowering even lower calories a day, and even 900 calories a day, it wasn't that significant. It was basically going to a low-calorie diet or a lower carbohydrate eating plan. And it was a higher protein, lower carbs, and basically it came down to they both had advantages. They both got better by following either one of these. So you could go to the low calorie of 900 calories a day, or you could just go to a higher protein, lower carb eating plan, and they both had the same results. So that's really important. You can eat large amounts of calories, but not get adequate nutrients, which is always the case with anything. Of the 17 men with severe erectile dysfunction, Whitted said that after 8 weeks, 7 had improvements in their symptoms, with some achieving normal function. After a year, 25% had normal erectile function. I mean, basically, everybody improved. Everybody was doing better. They talked about physical activity. There's no question that physical activity has a benefit in and of itself. I often tell the guys that I look after, come home in the evening, and instead of sitting in front of a television with a bag of chips and a beer, take your wife by the hand and say, "Come on, darling, let's go for a walk." Or, if you want, take your dog for a walk. Doesn't matter. He says that after doing that for a few weeks, her heart will grow fonder and your erection will go longer and stronger. And this is coming from the main honcho of this whole program, which was Dr. Ronald Temler. And I found that kind of comical. Her heart will grow fonder and your erection will be longer and stronger. Sorry, ladies. I know you don't want to hear all that. I'm going to shut out for the day. We're going to take off. We have work to do. Tomorrow, we'll be talking about, actually, I found an article about gout, which I thought I might talk about, and some other stuff that'll come up today during the day. Everyone, want you to have a great day today. Enjoy the weather if it's nice. If it's raining, kind of stay inside and take it easy. And we'll see you tomorrow. And probably tomorrow we're going to go at 1. I'll let you know. You'll see a posting, and we'll give you enough time so you can kind of set your dials and tune in. Thanks again for anyone who listened in, and it looks like Tom and I are the only ones right now. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.